Out. Hello. Okay, so welcome to the GM panel with Nicole Northeast and Nattaly Gerena. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And the name of pronouncing names. Do you mind introducing yourself to our audience? And let's start with Nattaly.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Nattaly Gerena. I'm industrial engineer at General Motors Canada. About a year ago, I decided to immigrate to Canada from my home country of Colombia. My beginnings in automotive industry were as a race marshal in sport car racings. Here, I found a particular interest in this industry. Then I started as intern and General Motors, Colombia, where I had the opportunity to become an analyst and then a coordinator. I have experience in safety of machine-person interfaces, as well as the study of material flow, manufacturing cost, and I specialize in customer experience. I have always been very curious about technology. I love to draw and design things. One of my strengths is the development of reports through business intelligence tools to focus on high-level decision making. And I'm passionate about traveling and learn about different places and cultures. In my free time, I enjoy reading, play soccer, volleyball, and here is a curiosity about me. I like to sing. And I am currently studying at Niagara College, Business Sales and Marketing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Nattaly. Nicole. Nicole, can you hear us?
Oh,
Nicole,
my
here you
button
are.
was stuck. Sorry about that.
Technology, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, I guess. So hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm so excited to hear about how open you all are to exploring a STEM career. Again, my name is Nicole Northeast, and thank you for having Nattaly and I kick off your exciting week. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all today about our careers in STEM. So who am I? I'm an industrial engineer and ergonomist, and I currently work at General Motors St. Catharines. I began my educational career at Brock University, where I studied kinesiology. I developed a passion for human kinetics and the effect on the body. Following this, with my education at Brock, I completed an advanced ergonomics study program at Fanshawe College, and this led me into an internship at General Motors, where I've since been employed as an industrial engineer and ergonomist. And my dedication is to ergonomics. I strive to express the importance within the workplace through best practice, workplace design so that everyone can live pain and injury free. And I'm privileged to be surrounded by amazing hiking trails and bodies of water. So in my free time, while I live in Niagara, I enjoy jet skiing, hiking, and kayaking.
Oh, sounds like so much fun. Thank you so much, Nicole and Nattaly. All right, so we're going to start with some questions about your early career, and then we're going to go into where you are today, and then we're going to leave our participants with some, some words of wisdom. Let's call it that. So, I know you shared a little bit in your bios, but like, how did you decide to enter your career? What was what was that spark that made you follow this path? So let's go back with Nattaly. Let's start with Nattaly again.
Oh, the main motivation was my sister-in-law. I remember that she had the opportunity to travel for studies and that she always took amazing photos in different industries, always with her overall and her pair of boots. I remember that she told me that few people knew how the things work and how the things were built, and immediately catch my attention. I also saw that she traveled a lot, which had always been my dream, and it's why I wanted to start this beautiful path and discover that I really like it. Sometimes you don't need to an amazing facts for take decisions. Just look around and you will find the answers.
Thank you, Nattaly. Nicole, how about you?
Sure. So when I was young, I was involved in health and wellness. Growing up, I was super active. I had an appreciation for the capabilities of the human body. In addition to this, and with my love of career or for ergonomics and optimization. I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to be a nurse. And the combination of these two things led me into kinesiology. So from here, I developed an interest in helping people beyond just healthcare in a more proactive approach through ergonomics. But while I was studying ergonomics, I learned about the hierarchy of controls, where the best solution is proactive, and it begins with designing optimal solutions before they make it to a user. So that kind of led me into my passion for engineering and optimization.
All right. Thanks, Nicole. This is right here a great example how you don't know what you want to do and you could start somewhere, but then you can end up somewhere else, right? So this is a
Exactly.
great example here. Yes. Thank you. So let's just go back to when you started your career. What were some things that you wish that you knew, before you started? Like actually in the beginning of career, what were some things that you wish you knew?
So for me, it was self-doubt is a big inhibitor. You should always lead with confidence and be bold and focus on having a positive attitude. One of my mentors once told me that everyone puts their pants on in the same way in the morning, one leg at a time. And to me, this means don't be afraid to put yourself out there at one point or another. Everyone was in the same position as you. And when you need help, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for it. We're all a team. We're all trying to achieve the same goal. So in addition to this, they also said life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you react to it. So take charge of your attitude and be confident in your abilities. So that's just
Thank you,
something
Nicole.
I wish that I knew. Just don't let
Yes.
yourself hinder your abilities.
And Nattaly, did you share that already?
Yeah, sure. I believe that when you start to study, it's hard because you know if it's good ask or maybe speak or maybe compare with others because they have other abilities. I would like to know that speak up. Never hesitate to ask question or express your opinion. Fear or embarrassment and objection often block our growth. There are no bad questions, actually. Only people who don't ask. If you have
Yeah.
something to say or ask, just do it. It's time to learn. It's a perfect environment to start. And the other is that we all have different abilities, and you will meet people better than you in some things, and you will be better than others in other kind of things. Please do not suffer for this. Competition is good, but life is a balance. We need each other to grow up. So go in search of exploring your talents and finding what are you like to do or what are your ability.
I feel like we should have ended with this because it was so good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so when it comes to your place of study, like your post-secondary, how did you decide that that would be the place to go? Like that university, that post-secondary, what was that? How did you decide to sign up there and not another school?
Well, my father was a military man in Colombia, so as his daughter, I had benefits for study at the Nueva Granada Military University in Colombia. In addition to the fact, my brothers were studying there. It is one of the best universities in South America, and they have a great soccer team. And actually, it was the main reason.
Thank you, Nattaly. I'm actually going to have a follow-up question for you. So you study in another country, you didn't study in Canada. What was that like for you when you actually came to Canada?
Well, actually, in the other question, I have a good answer for that, but the main reason it was improve my English.
Okay. So did you find it hard studying in one country and then having to transfer those skills, that education when you came to Canada?
Yeah, because in my country, my mother tongue is Spanish, and I study English there, but it's hard to practice, a real practice. And it was, I find an option here and also in GM that I work with them in Colombia, and it was a good opportunity to move and maintain a work and maybe learn other kind of things.
Right. Thank you, Natalie.
Welcome.
Nicole, the same question for you.
So
How
mine's
was
kind
it?
of a
Yeah.
mine's kind of like a short answer. I chose
Yeah.
Brock University because honestly, the financial benefits of staying local. I was fortunate to be able to continue to live at home, save on the cost of rent, commuting, just a few of those things, and it aided in my ability to work part-time through school. So it's a great
Yeah.
university. I don't regret a thing, but that's why I chose it.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, because that definitely is something that the reason why someone would decide to go to a certain post-secondary, and it's great to hear from someone that has been there. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about, well, yeah, let's talk about now that you're working at GM, and so happy that you are, because now you're here, so thank you for that. What is your typical day-to-day work like for you? What is that like? So let's start with you, Nicole. Let's continue with you.
Sure. So my typical day consists of problem solving, whether it's designing solutions, correcting existing data, coaching, things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I start by going over all the nice, boring administrative stuff. So I give myself like an hour or so to ease myself into my day, review my schedule, prioritize any emails, things like this. And then after that, it's just kind of like a straight away of analysis, communicating with my colleagues, researching, etc.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Yes. Natalie, how about you?
Well, actually, with Nicole, we are a team here,
Okay.
and it's so similar, but my days start early. I'm not a morning person, so sorry for that. I have found strategies that help me. For example, drink a glass of water when I wake up. It is sending message to our body that it's time to start to move. Our day consists on prioritizing our activities, answering some requests, and going to work on our projects. The plans start work at 6:30 in the morning, and I start at 7 in the morning. The first thing that I do when I arrive, apart from greeting my team, it's to put my boots and make myself a good coffee for a start happy.
Love coffee, yes.
I love it. Then I start with my to-do list, read and answer emails, and make some visits to the plant. All our visits have a purpose, in some cases to verify, measure, observe, with the aim to remove waste of being more productive. And then I return to my desk, and with the information collected, we can simulate in some programs and evaluate what we can see on the floor, and then generate changes that contribute to our processes. In general, one of my favorite part of this job, that it's the any day is the same or is a typical day. In some cases, or almost the time, we have to prioritize the task and decide how solve it.
Thanks for actually just answer my next question. I was going to ask, like, what is the best part of your job, and what is the most challenging part of your job? So maybe you can continue on that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I have other kind of challenges here. The first for me is the language and the frustrations. My mother tongue is Spanish, as I know, and one of my main reasons I decided to come to Canada was to put English into practice and, of course, improve it. And it should be mentioned that there are many Canadian items that or slang I have never heard of my life. Now I have a notebook with them. Also, sometimes people speak very fast, so I have to concentrate a lot so as not missing anything. But I also know that it's temporary, and I have met amazing people who have contributed to my growth, as my partner Nicole, that she helped me a lot of. Another challenge is managing the frustration. There are part of engineer, actually. In fact, without them, there will be no engineer here. Our work challenge us daily, new challenges, new opportunities, new projects, and it is likely that we do not have the answer to everything. In fact, it is okay not to know. What is not okay is not looking for the answers and solution. The learning is a continuous process in which is the worth investing our time. Knowledge is a power. It is the way to achieve any goal. Only you need to be your efforts for aim your objectives.
Thank you so much for that. That was really inspiring. Thank you. Nicole, how about you? What was the best part of your job, what you love, and what is the most challenging? I think you muted.
My
Yes.
button. So
Don't we
my
just love technology?
oh man, I gotta get a better system, I think. So, my favorite thing about my job and what led me into engineering is the opportunity to be able to innovate and learn new exciting technologies, implement optimal design, especially for safety. In my position, much like Nattaly was just saying, we're often involved in resolving existing problems, and I'll put quotations around problems because it's always important to keep in mind there's no problems. It's just an opportunity for something else, and it's an opportunity for you to express your creativity. So you use your creativity and really harness on that to assess the situation with new eyes and innovate new solutions to add value to someone else's life. And that's what really makes me really excited about my job. Some of the more challenging things is public speaking. I used to be really, really poor at it. I don't know how great I am now, but I've definitely gotten a lot
You're
better.
amazing.
I don't know if
Yes.
thank you. I don't know if they still do this, but when I was growing up, they had yearly speech competitions and they were the absolute worst part of my school year. I hated everything about coming up to them. I didn't know what topic to do. They made me so nervous. But now I break these down into manageable groups and I try to plan as much as possible to ensure that I can maintain a considerable level of confidence. And I just keep in mind that I'm having a conversation with friends. And that's what really gets me through presenting these days is we're all, again, here to do a job and I'm just having a chat. We're all just expressing our own opinions. So.
Well, I can say that you're doing great on this panel. So,
Thank you.
you really are. Public speaking is one of the, I would say, the most challenging for everyone, including
Yeah.
public speakers that do that as a profession. They all say that before they start the public speaking, they go in front of people, they get the knots in their stomach, and everybody has their own strategy for how to make it better. And like you said, I think it's such a good thing to keep in mind. It's like having conversation with friends. It really just that. And then you
Yeah.
share what you know. You really, all you do is share what you know, and you have that, and of course you're doing great. So thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
all
you.
of this. It's amazing. Yes. All right. I'm so inspired by both of you. And I can see the comments in the chat here. Everybody is like, "Hey, it's so inspiring." So, all right. Um, how about let's talk about some surprises. Like, what surprised you the most about your job when you first started? Let's continue
Like,
with you, Nicole. Yeah.
sure. I like this question because I do have interns for ergonomics that I have yearly, and they often ask me some wise wisdom or, again, what surprised me. And something I like to express is the environment is not what you expect in a work field. You expect that people are going to be serious and they have it all
Yeah.
figured out. And I kind of touched in on this quite a few times, but in reality, again, we're all here just to do a job. We're all trying to figure out as we go. So work with your team. I'm fortunate to have an amazing team. I love my team and they're super supportive and they're more than willing to help. So reach out for help when you need it. But we're all just trying to make it, honestly.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Nattaly? What surprised you the most about your job when you started?
Well, actually, the orientation was my first day of work here in Canada. That day, I
Yeah.
meet several people who mentioned that working in this plant has been the dream of their lives with these works, actually. Seeing the passion and emotion in their works was an incredible experience, and I made me
Mm-hmm.
feel identified. They told me stories of their relatives who had worked here for generations and generations, and I could
Mm-hmm.
feel that sense of belonging immediately. Beyond
Mm-hmm.
talent people, you must look for passionate people, and GM is incredible good at this. I believe that it
Mm-hmm.
was this fact surprised me.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I may share, for me, every time I start a new job, it felt like I would never be able to learn this. Like, this is going to be so hard. And but then a couple of weeks or days or weeks or months later, I'm like, I'm a pro at this. I'm like, that was actually really easy. I find, so because I've done very many different type of jobs in my lifetime. So every time I start something new, I'm like, how could never get this? People speak in acronyms and how, like, I don't know what that means. So just trying to get my dictionary, because English is my second language as well. So I totally relate with you, Nattaly. I came to Canada 28 years ago, and just learning to speak English was the hardest part. And I feel like, but I don't speak English. But then I'm like, but I know it, even though I don't speak English. So, you know, it's so amazing to see that people actually, you know, when you share this, it brings me back to when I came to Canada. So thanks for sharing that. All right. So I am going to ask you a couple of more questions, and then we're going to open up the floor to our participants. They might have their own questions. So let's just go with, when it comes to you actually doing what you do, you know, being an industrial engineer. And I know you share so much about your bio and, you know, your studies and stuff, but in terms of, if someone is to become an industrial engineer, what type of skills do you think are important for them to focus on? Especially our participants are in high school, one of them is in university already, but if they're interested in going to this field, what would be the one skill that they should focus on? And let's start with you, Nattaly, since you're here.
I believe that critical thinking, problem solving, and teamwork. For me, there are perfect, these three, because engineers need to be able to analyze evidence, questions assumptions, test hypotheses, observe and draw conclusion from any form of data. Critical thinking is not just a skill, but a habit formed to help with problem solving. Teamwork is important because it allows your team to share ideas and responsibilities, which help reduce stress for everyone, allowing them to exploit each other's abilities. And this will allow them to achieve goals quickly and exceed the expectations.
Thank you. How about you, Nicole?
So for me, it's communication and time management skills. So every day I'm interacting with my team, much like Nattaly said, we're out on the floor interacting with new people. So I need to know how to manage, how to listen first and then speak. So you really just take in all the information that you're getting before spewing out some kind of solution. So in turn, this allows you to build relationships, build trust, and diversify your team. So as a result, you'll need to also improve your time management skills, because you'll build that huge team base. So as a misconception about my workforce is that there's a defined structure to be followed, much like a school curriculum, for example. So you'll have like a set task, expectations, but in reality, in my role, we build our projects and we do that based on our own targets, and you set that expectation. So because of your ability to expand your team, you may have all these requests coming from all peoples for small favors that you also need to manage. So it's really, really important that you remain organized and ensure you meet your deadlines. And again, go back to communicating, building that team base, and you'll be solid.
That's some amazing advice. Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to open up the panel. So all of you participants, please think of questions to ask our amazing panelists. So do you have any advice for our participants here? That now, as we know, some of them might just think about where they might want to go, what kind of field of STEM, or if they want to get into STEM, what advice do you have for them?
So I'll start off with a couple quick little things. So don't be afraid to take big steps. There's always going to be people supporting you. There's always going to be your biggest cheerleader. But with that, you have to be your own advocate. No one's going to tell you what your goals are. So as long as you're communicating to your mentor, your manager, what have you, you'll achieve those goals. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Nattaly, how about you?
I'm thinking about afraid also, but even with fear, things are achieved, and there is no better satisfaction than having achieved them, even knowing that at the first we were afraid to try it. I think I have a poem that I remember always when I have to take decisions. And a poem by anonymous author says, "Jump and the floor will appear." It's in Spanish, but I try to translate for you. I believe have the sense. You have to try it, you have to want it and work for it. The best inventions are born from perseverance and patience, passion, sorry. And I believe it's time to do it. Only try to, and I be sure that you get it.
Yeah, thank you. This is great advice. All right, let's open up the floor to you guys. If you have any questions for our panelists, we want to make sure that you get to ask your questions as well. So you can unmute yourself, or you can just ask them on chat, and I will ask them for you. So okay, anyone?
What careers in STEM do you recommend?
Can you ask that again, please, Allison?
What careers in STEM do you recommend?
Yes, what careers in STEM do you recommend? You're gonna recommend your own?
I was going to say there's a little bit of a bias because you have two
Yes.
engineers here, industrial engineers.
Yes.
Honestly, do what speaks to you. I know a lot of you were questioning what you're interested in, but don't be afraid to participate in all of these things. I know that you run quite a few women in STEM items, but there's so much out there that allow you to participate in all these new things. Like my mentor, Stephanie Thompson, she also runs workshops, and she had one for soldering. I had no idea I loved it until I tried it. And now I'm just like, oh, that might be my new hobby. I don't know. So I don't know if that helps, but you got two industrial engineers, but keep trying. Try it. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Right.
You'll find what you'll love.
Yeah. How about you, Nattaly?
I don't have exactly recommendation for you, but I can recommend you that be sure what kind of topics it's about each career, or engineer or science or mathematics or physics, anyone that you want. It's important that you be sure about how it works, or how you can help with your life. In this case, in my case, industrial engineer was the best option, because I see different ways in this career. I can find, if you remember the first things that I said, I know about customer experience, I know about process, I know about different kind of things that this kind of career permit me. It's only like a puzzle, and you have to build in step by step. And not it's only like, I want this and maybe discard other, maybe be sure how works any of them.
Thank you, Nattaly. There's a question on chat that says, not sure if I missed it, if it's spoken about, but what exactly does an industrial engineer do on a day-to-day basis? Who wants to take the floor and answer that question? Nattaly or Nicole?
Stephanie has a good answer there. Industrial engineers find ways to eliminate wastefulness in production processes and people work. They devise efficient systems that integrate workers, machines, materials, information, and energy to make a product or provide a service, which is very true. We optimize situations, we optimize processes, we integrate new technologies, all by means to make an ideal situation, optimal situation, or an effective production line, something like of that nature.
And it also says, or they make it easier, safety, and better for people to work with machines.
Yes, much simpler.
That's like, thank God for you guys. Yeah, that's amazing. All right.
Earlier in chat, Stephanie asked, if you weren't an industrial engineer, what would you be? She asked that earlier.
Go ahead, Natalie.
If you're not an industrial engineer, what would you be? I think she kind of said that, earlier, but then that's actually a really good question. If you were not an industrial engineer, what would you be? Both you, Nicole, and Nattaly. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Okay, so that means that you really love what you do, if you have to think about it, right?
Actually, I think that I have two options. Maybe I would like to do a mechanical engineer because I love these kind of topics and with cars and with engines, and I love these kind of things. But in other option for me, it was industrial design. But actually, I can select industrial engineer because we can produce things and make things and design things, and it was like a perfect environment. But I'm sure that I would like to select engineer, of course.
Yeah, that's amazing. Nicole, anything to add?
No, it's kind of the same idea. I mean, I kind of led on it before. I thought I was going to be in healthcare. My next path was going to be like a physician assistant. So, I mean, I'm sure I'd end up there, but the best place for me was industrial engineering. I was certain that I wanted to get into engineering. I just wasn't sure how. And thankfully, my road led me that way. It wasn't exactly straight, as you guys have heard. It's not what I initially thought it would be, but it led me exactly where I wanted it to be. So.
That's amazing. Thanks, Nicole. All right, so we have a question on chat. How were you encouraged to go into STEM?
That's a good question. I didn't know too much about STEM as its own foundation or its own thing. I just kind of found my way into engineering, and then I had really, really great mentors at General Motors, which introduced me to STEM and all these women advocate groups. And that's why I'm here today.
Well, healthcare is part of STEM as well, right? So healthcare, being a doctor is that's the science part of it, right?
It is.
Yeah. So how did you get into that first? Now I'm going to top the question with that. Like, how did you get into that? What was that about that you started?
I had really, really great teachers all throughout my education, and they really just encouraged me to be the best I could be. And they allowed me to participate in all these things that I never knew I could participate in. And like when you would do, what do you call it? Like in any of your science courses, when you would work on frogs or something of that nature, I was like, oh, wow, that's super cool. Like, look at all these muscles. And it just kind of like found my way into medical field, into kinesiology, and I just incorporated that with exercise science. And I was like, wow, this is the perfect field for me. I love exercise. I love wellness. I love the human body. It's so fascinating how to understand how the muscles work and how we actually get moving every day. And that's just kind of how I found my way into here.
Yeah, thank you. Nattaly.
I see a question in the chat that I love it. I'm waiting for that. Do you find that you have to apply skills other than purely STEM skills in your work, like English or communication skills? Actually, interpersonal skills or soft skills for me as the most. Personal with sense of humor, self-control, sociable, and empathic towards other. Behind every process, every product, every task, there is a person. We can't forget it. I am one of those people who believes that telling someone how beautiful their shoes are can save a life. We never forget that. It's so important. And other thing, it's creativity, ability to conceive the solution of the future. We have a strange relation with the technologies, with the future, and it's so important. Don't forget the creativity in this process.
Nicole, anything to add to that? Like, do you find that you have to apply skills other than purely STEM skills in your work, like English or communication skills?
Yeah, I think Nattaly really touched on it. It's there's someone behind the work. Like, you definitely have to have great communication skills, great listening skills as well. Just again, putting a face behind everything is really important.
Yeah, and also working with teams, right? When you work with teams, you have to have great communication skills because
definitely
it's super important to be able to, express what you need from that team member or what project you're getting into. So it's not just about, and also you write reports. I heard some of you say you write reports at work. So English comes in very handy for that, right? So writing reports is not easy. I do that. I was going to say, like, would you mind coming to Revolution? Because I have to write reports to stress about everything. So it's like, So I find that writing a good report makes a big difference. And that's a way to use your communication skills into STEM fields. So absolutely. Okay, any other questions, anyone? I can ask a question if somebody is thinking about their next question. But I think something that everybody wants to know is, did you have any role models growing up? I know I want to know that, but did you have any role models growing up, whether they led you into STEM or otherwise? Any role models? Who wants to share?
Actually, yes, I was lucky. Not only one, I have three.
Yes.
There are my brothers, and I say
Okay.
there are because they still are. I am the youngest of the four brothers, and all of them there are men. I remember that since I was little, my curiosity was aroused to games different from the typical ones as girl at that time. Instead of play with dolls or princess, I love building Legos, talking with a part and putting them back together, although sometimes I had parts left over. Getting dirty, soccer, of course, and among others. I was surrounded by men where if I had fears, they challenged me and filled me with courage to overcome them. Without a doubt, they have always inspired me. As a woman, I feel lucky to have allowed myself to enjoy this influence. On one of them is military pilot and a mechanical engineer, and another is mechatronical engineer. And there are my mirrors at this time, and they motivate me for do things, different things, and maybe create story like a woman.
Thanks, Nattaly. That was great.
Someone has a hand up. Someone has a hand up.
Oh, it's me. I do have a question.
Duane, you're muted.
Is it a good time to?
I'm muted, sorry. So I was gonna say, Kautar, just a second, let Nicole finish answering the question about mentors, and then we can you can answer your question. And then we have another question on chat. So Nicole.
To be honest, I don't really have like a traditional role model. Like I look up to my parents, I look up to my sisters, but there isn't like one distinct person I look up to. I often learn from people and just adapt their situation just to kind of suit mine. But honestly, I'm motivated by my twin sister. We encourage each other to be our best selves. And I think that we're each other's biggest cheerleaders. So I would say that if I had a role model, it's definitely my twin sister.
Thanks, Nicole. It's actually a really good point that role models, they don't necessarily have to be someone that even are in your life. So someone you look up to, an author or someone that has done what you want to do already. So they could be role models. So thanks for that. Okay, Kautar, now you can ask your question.
Yeah, it's close to the question that was asked in the chat. Like honestly, have any one of you like regretted the career you chosen? Like, did you say like I wish I chose like this field or something, or like you were certain that this is what you want?
Who wants to go first?
I'll touch on that. There's definitely times where I was studying and I thought, I don't think that this is it for me. Like there's things I don't want to do about this. But what brought me back to it is keeping in mind, like you're not going to love it every single day. You're not going to love every single aspect. And I think Nattaly touched on this a little bit previously, but you just have to remind yourself why you were there in the first place, what you do love about it. And that's what really kept me going, is that there's parts of kinesiology that I loved. There's parts of that led me to ergonomics and parts of ergonomics that maybe I didn't love, but the engineering brought me to where I am today. So it's just the funny way that life works out is you're not going to love every single aspect, but keep in mind and keep close to you what you do love about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Nicole. Nattaly?
We have to normalize that not the time we are going to feel in love with knowledge or with energy to get up early every day and stay up late doing homework. In my case, my university was 1 hour and 20 minutes from my house, and I had a classes of 7 a.m. all days. The transport was always very, very full. And when I returned home, I did so after training soccer around 11 p.m. I thinking the challenge was to find the balance that will make me happy and that will work for me. I think the secret is to learn conscientiously and find out what we are good at. Obviously, take advantage of everything that these educational facilities offer us, being a part of get involved. Not every day will be the best, but it depends of how we assume it. It's
Right.
our life and we have to the power to enjoy it.
I will share a little bit about that. For me, at Revolution, I can tell you, I don't have the best day sometimes. And the things that keep me going is the having the participants in the program and hearing, I got into the post-secondary, I applied this university and this I got into my favorite, my first choice. And it warms my heart, and getting to see participants like, can you sign a letter of reference for me? I'm applying for a scholarship or I'm doing this, and to see that they continue. I'm like, and anything, it doesn't necessarily have to be STEM, just the fact that I'm such an advocate for education. Knowing that there's so many people in the world that don't even have access to education, and here we have it. And I think it's like, can do anything, and to see participants actually getting into it, it's amazing. That's what keeps me going. And having speakers like you that actually come and speak and share your stories with our participants, it's amazing. I've always said that I could do what I do, and I could do it alone, but I could only make a small impact. But if I have people that join me, I can just make greater impact. So it's because of you guys that are here, your speakers are here. I want to thank you so much for being part of this panel and for sharing your stories and being so real and so truthful. It's always so inspiring. And hopefully that will motivate these young women to pursue whatever they choose and just go for it, because honestly, sky is the limit. They can do anything. So yeah, thank you so much for being part of this.